it's only in me, I'm a hustler. The one thing on my mind and I don't mean to stop.
Gotta get to the top, we ain't playing. Always win, never flop, cause we're on the right track. Going 20 miles per hour, we don't look back. We just close our eyes whenever there's a red flag. Full acceleration, full thing when we play tag. Gotta play tag.
Tracks, I've been riding day and night, yeah, we've been killing it. Gotta stay at the top, keep on winning. Coming seasons over.
We're on the right track. Going 20 miles per hour, we don't look back. We just close our eyes whenever there's a red flag. Full acceleration, full thing when we play tag. Gotta play tag. We're on the right track, going 20 miles per hour, we don't look back. We just close our eyes whenever there's a red flag. Full acceleration, full speed when we play tag, when we play tag.
This is iRacing.
It's been a long, long week of thrills, spills, and action here from the Crandon International Raceway, and it has all come down to this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. No more qualifiers, no more preliminaries. This is your final race for the Crandon Championship, the highest level of short course racing in the iRacing service. Welcome back, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my name is Keenan Cousin, joined again by Joey Atterbury. Joey, you've had some exciting races, but now there is no more reason to be patient. There's no more patience. It is time to lay it all down on the line.
And I think we saw a little bit of a sample of it earlier today as well, but you're right. This is the last time that these drivers are going to be able to go out there, race here at Crandon for this championship. So you're right. Let's see what they got, and let's see who's going to be on top.
A lot of drivers who are going to be racing tonight also raced this morning. There's been a little bit of bad blood in the last couple of races. We'll have to see if that's going to be solved this afternoon or this evening even, or if that's going to be carried over throughout the rest of the week. Again, no more races, no more preliminaries, no more testing. This is it. It is do or die here on the dirt in Crandon, Wisconsin. We had 7 qualifying races to be able to set the field for the Super Sessions. We had a race this afternoon at 11 o'clock. We'll take a look at that a little bit later on. And this is again, we're going to put a lot of stress on that. This is the last race, the last opportunity to join the ranks and become champion here at Crandon and join Nicholas Dachelet, who already has won that first split this morning.
we are watching that top split here. It is the Dirt Road C-Class that is available to go into those qualifying sessions, but we have narrowed it down. We're using the Pro 4 truck at Crandon International Raceway here, but we are in that final super session, the top 20 in points. That's what we're going to be watching out here. Hopefully everybody showed up from that top 20. If they don't show up, we do fill the field.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of names that you'll recognize as well. We'll get into that in just a minute. They're going to be driving something you recognize. We've covered this so much this week. Ladies and gentlemen, the highest level short course racing and iRacing is the Lucas Oil Off-Road Pro 4 truck. Four-wheel drive. It's in the name. 410 cubic inches, 900 screaming horsepowers underneath the hood of this truck, and 4,000 pounds to try to maneuver around this technical Crandon course, Joey.
I think what the coolest part about it is that 48-52 weight distribution. The engine actually sits right next to the driver on the right side there. That's what gives these trucks such a cool handling characteristic. And talking about Crandon, it is a 1.5 mile, 8-turn big house located in Crandon, Wisconsin. Here first opened in 1970, and we're doing that land rush start. You see that little Pro 4 truck model down by that hairpin? It is a standing start that goes right from there. We line them up 10 wide and head down into that fast sweeping Potawatomi turn number 1, which is always chaos. And then a couple other big areas to note around this place. Gravel pit, always an interesting corner. Calamity corner, that's where you can win or lose a race because the start-finish line is right there. But also that cowboy hairpin all the way on the other side of the track, that's most of the time where the passes are start to get set up.
Again, we've had a week-long full of racing. All started Tuesday. We started watching on Wednesday night. The races got a little bit crazier throughout the week. They got a little bit more desperate when it came to the driving as the opportunities to be able to get into these super sessions, the top level of these super sessions became less and less frequent. Again, a lot of names we've seen almost in every race. Ones that stand out, of course, Crystal King, Matthew Linda there as well. Sean Winkler's been racing, Evan McFarland, Timothy Messimer, Nicholas Dashley, who ended up winning this afternoon. A lot of the same names trying to improve their positions and find their way into this top 20 split. And a lot of them now realize this is our last chance. We couldn't get it done this afternoon. Dashley was the one that get it done. Dashley also trying to go 2 for 2 tonight.
And I think the interesting talking points as we watch these highlights is Nicholas Dashley, right? Can he make it 2 for 2? Because he did win this morning, but also Crystal King, we've talked about her through those qualifying sessions into this morning's super session, but she did not have the feature that she wanted. She was taken out kind of early on. So we're going to see if Crystal King can have a little bit of a redemption night.
And to talk about last year, we have 2 brand new winners. No Jacob Rafas, no Connor Berry. He's busy out at Crandon in real life, so he's got no time for the sim. Best of luck to him this weekend. And that is going to have it's going to be 2 brand new names at the top step of the podium. We already have one in Nicholas Dashley, not to take anything away from his accomplishments in the short course racing world and iRacing. But as you said, Joey, Crystal King was kind of the star throughout the week and dominating a lot of these qualifying sessions. It's so easy just to not get a good start, not get a good jump in that first super session. She's got a clean slate here tonight to try and win the one that, not that the 11 o'clock didn't matter, and there was a lot of the same drivers there, but a lot of these drivers based out of North America, they're going to want to win one that's more based for their time. This is the big one.
And I think one of the coolest parts about this Crandon Championship that we're doing is that we've broadcast so many of these races. Look, we're just on Friday, race number 1 here in the morning. This is the feature race, so it is just so neat. We've been broadcasting for, 4 days now, all of those qualifying sessions into the super session this morning. And this is really where things started to get a little bit spicy. You see Crystal King in that white and red truck here in these highlights. This is really her dominance. This race, she got pushed around. The next race, she came back, and I think she's finally looking for that top step and a huge trophy to go along with it, even though it might be virtual.
Again, there's a lot of drivers who are going to try and play spoiler. Again, we saw this time, of course, Nicholas Dashley, Timothy Messimer as well, Dane Culver, who we didn't see this afternoon, who had a absolute barn burner with Crystal King, and a couple other drivers, which is Friday night. One of the best finishes in short course racing we've ever seen here on the iRacing broadcasting channels. so fun to see. Again, a really, really competitive racing, really, really smart racing. And a lot of these drivers, because we've been racing all week, have had a little bit of bad blood. Not super to the point where it's super toxic or anything, but I've been in a couple of the Discords and there's been some chatter, and there's going to be some stuff settled here because there's no other opportunities. You don't have to worry about it later on. It's all or nothing now.
I think you saw just kind of a little bit of a sample of that at the end of that race number 1 on Friday, where Crystal got pushed out of the way, and at the end of this one, you're actually going to see all the front 2 trucks get pushed out of the way in Calamity Corner, and she's going to sneak up underneath and steal away the win. So yeah, you got to push and shove if you want to make your way to the front, but you can't push and shove too hard. You can actually push yourself out of the racing line. And speaking of this finish that we're about to see here, Keenan, on this highlight reel, one of those drivers, Dane Culver, he's back here in this session. He's going to want to grab that top step.
Yeah, and you know who he's got some unfinished business with, Joey? Nicholas Dashley, your winner from this morning. It is not over between these two by a long shot, and they are not the only ones. Quentin Delomo, the Frenchman, staying up to the wee hours in the morning. I think it's 2 a.m. for him over there in France. He's staying up to try to get for a better shot. He's been sitting towards the back of a lot of these fights, and he has no problem getting his nose up in the mix, and there's never been a better time than now.
That name that you just mentioned, Quentin Delomo, he actually had a pretty good race early on, but he was just kind of mired back there, stuck with track position, so he could never really get up front. It'll be curious to see what he can do, maybe get a little bit better of a start, but this was the finish that I was talking about. Watch this action headed into Calamity Corner. Culver gets into Dashley. King sneaks up underneath, so there's a little bit of that bad blood you were talking about.
Yeah, and that's just what comes with short course racing. The community's very tight. Everybody knows everybody. A lot of these battles end up breeding between official races, leagues, and the like, and it doesn't stop no matter whether we're racing or not. So it brews and brews and brews, and all has to come to a head, and this is the last opportunity for it. Again, that big land rush start has only been getting crazier and crazier throughout the weekend, or throughout the week even, as even there were battles all over the racetrack this morning, Joey, whether it was for the win, whether it was for 8th, whether it was for 13th. No matter where a truck was, there was always 2 or 3 right around them that were in the box.
Yeah, I think other than Nicholas, kind of once he got out front, he kind of ran away. But look at all of these trucks. You're right, Keenan, kind of smack right in the middle of the pack. There's nowhere to go. And when you're 3 wide entering every single turn, as we see one of them clip the tire there, the tractor tire. But it's tough to make the moves, right? Because if you got a car, or I should say a truck to your right side, you can't go over there. You can't dive bomb down in because you're going to slide off the racetrack. Most likely there's also a truck to your inside. So I have a feeling that the further you are and forward for that track position, the better off your race is going to be.
Got to give a hat tip to Matthew Linda to going for some acrobatics this morning. Somebody saw that and said, you know what? I want my name on the truck. So between this morning and tonight, he's got one extra sponsor. He's going to try to get some more TV time here. Hopefully it's because he's in victory lane, not because he's 8 feet above the ground.
So we are officially in qualifying here, Keenan. About 6 minutes, and what these trucks are going to do is they're going to go out there, get their first lap in, really try to set down a flyer, and they have 3 total laps. But when you cross the line there to finish your first lap, most of them are actually going to hit that reset button, go out there, get a new set of tires, a brand new truck, and then try for that 3rd lap.
Something that I don't think was talked about throughout the week is there is tire wear here on the dirt. It's not to the same level as something you would see on an oval or a road course on asphalt, but it is there, and something that you really have to take into account is track wear. The track will wear in throughout the race. It's going to reset between the sprint and the feature, but it will start to wear throughout the race, and you have to manage the track wear and your tires as well. Just an extra thing to think about as we are going to start seeing the last of these warm-up laps and get into some flyers.
I think a smart racing driver is able to manage those conditions, right? And they have to read them. They have to be able to predict where the track is going to be having its grip and you can actually see the difference in the lines. The lighter colored dirt, that's where the stuff is being sprayed up. That's where the trucks are actually driving. This darker colored dirt, well, that's kind of a little bit of a cushion. And Cody Vanderveer right here is actually setting up for his first flying lap. He goes way out wide in Calamity Corner there. Try to make the run as straight as possible so you've got the highest top speed to start the lap.
Yeah, we're riding along with Cody Vanderveer, someone we've seen race all throughout the week. One of the racecraft drivers as well, super popular team, has had a ton of people out here. I went and checked him out on Instagram this afternoon, Cody V59 on Instagram. No wonder he's comfortable being in the air. He's a stunt motorcycle rider. It is a day job. The dude's nuts, and he's out here doing some sim truck racing in his spare time. So this is no surprise. He's used to getting sideways. He's used to having wheels in the air. And I, again, just spent 5 minutes on his Instagram this afternoon and went, well, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. All this tracks.
It's funny how a lot of these off-road racers, it doesn't matter if you come from 2 wheels or 4 wheels, they oftentimes find themselves having fun racing in the pro trucks. Guess what? If you're not on a dirt bike, you might as well strap 2 more wheels to it. I mean, we've seen several of those dirt bike drivers come and be very successful, whether it's been in rally cars or in pro trucks. So I think Cody Vanderveer feeling very, very at home on the dirt. And that's the other thing. It moves around quite a bit. He understands it.
Something, too, we didn't end up making the top 20, but it was cool to see his name in the point standings. Was Formula Drift driver Trenton Beecham trying to make his way into. Had a conversation with him this afternoon. He's like, I want to get more into these trucks. They're a ton of fun to drive. So hopefully we see a little bit more of Trenton as we ride along now with Dane Culver. Again, he did not race this afternoon. He was one of those drivers that is only going to race in the evening sessions, and one that was heavily involved for that race for the win Friday night, and was heavily involved in some discussions about the race for the win Friday night. So he wants to be on the top step of the podium. He thought he had a legitimate shot to win, and he thought he was wrong. So he's going to prove everybody wrong and try to get to the top step, but he does not currently have a qualifying time standing, and he's not the only one. We only have 13 of 19 truck times on the board so far.
I'm loving seeing this little sim setup that Dane Culver has. It's almost like a little off-road buggy chassis that he's got a roll cage around him that he's sitting there. So it's almost like he's only in his little personal off-road buggy. Pretty neat. And I noticed he kind of clipped the apex there in the S section, and that's typically not very good for the lap time. The other one that I noticed, he wasn't able to put down a first lap time, and with only 2.5 minutes left, I think this is going to be his only shot at it.
No coincidence, Joey, as Dane Culver, again, from real-life experience, is a dirt buggy driver in real life, trying to work his way up the ranks. Again, very tight-knit community. A lot of these drivers involved with other off-road programs or have been bike racing. We talked about Crystal King's motocross background. And as you said, too, very easy to get a contact warning, which will invalidate the lap throughout the first sector of the course. Is Dane Culver going to get a lap? And he's staying tight here, which will make you think he's got something cooking. Dane Culver is going to go third place, and once again, throw a blanket over him. The top 3 just within a 1/10 of a second, but this time, Quentin DeLomo's name's in the picture. He's up to P2.
And look at the top 5. The top 5, top 6, I'm going to call it, because 7/1000ths of a second is close enough. Top 6 within 1/4 of a second. But the oddity that I do see here as we watch the number 9 truck complete his qualifying lap, I don't see any trucks in the 14s yet. Now, in the session this morning, I think it was the top 4 that were able to crack under the 115 into that 114.9, 114.8. And there was a handful of trucks in the practice sessions that were in the 14s, and it might just come down to that track condition that you were talking about.
Another new name to that list, obviously Daniel Solo moving up the leaderboard a little bit. He's now truck 13. Somebody I was hoping to see, somebody I've raced a ton with in short course racing, and we've kind of come up the ranks together. He's just gone a little bit farther than me. Welcome to the big show, Cody Winecki, truck number 19 of 19. I think he's about 24th overall in standings, so he just squeaked his way in. He won second split yesterday, and that was good enough just to get him into tonight.
Daniel Solo puts down a 116.1, so that'll put him 16th on the board. So we jump over to this number 18 of Stead Miller, coming down through Potawatomi turn number 1. You see 30 seconds left on the clock. I believe that Stead will be able to get this lap in, but it is going to be right down to the wire.
Yeah, just going to see if they can get a lap in. Right now, he's 18th out of 19 with sounds. Oh no, we're at the back of the field. You have to keep in mind, they're going to start 10 wide, and we're going to put so much emphasis on this. It has been such aggressive racing, and now you're not going to see these drivers again in this Crandon Championship. Why not send it all, risk it all, get a little bit aggressive? You're not going to have to deal with it in the sense of, well, I'm going to catch them in the next race tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. It's either tonight or nothing. Floor it, head down into Potawatomi, and risk it all. So someone like Stead, Oliver, Shane, Daniel Solo, those are trucks, and towards the left side, towards the back of the field as we have our 6-lap our sprint race into our 10-lap feature. They got nothing to lose. We've seen people like Greg Johnson who have started towards the back. There's a little bit of an issue. They move all the way to the front. Speaking of the front, we ended up getting one of those 114s just barely with Nicholas Dashley on the pole trying to go back-to-back. Would never been done before in the Crandon Championships here. Last year, 2 different winners. Quentin Delomo, 2nd place out of France. Dane Kohler in 3rd place. Cody Vanderveer consistently towards the front of the field, as well as Thad Countryman. Timothy Messimer, Cody Winecki, Sean Winkler, Crystal King, and Evan McFarland wrap out your top 10, Joey.
In row number 2 and 11th, it's Tom Grady, Matthew Linda in 12th, Brody Duscher in 13th, James Burke 14th, William Findling 15th, Daniel Solo 16th, Shane Paul 17th, Stead Miller 18th, and Oliver Golding 19th of the 19 trucks.
We start to get trucks on the line here. 2 or 3 left to go. Again, have to keep an eye on a few. Almost every driver in this field said some sort of storyline this week. It has all come down to this 6-lap sprint. Sets the grid for the 10-lap feature. This is their last opportunity to stand on the top of the podium of the most important short course race of the year. Only one more set of keys to the big house is being given out tonight. Who's it going to go to? Is Nicholas Dashley going to go back-to-back, or are we going to see a new name to the top of the podium?
We are just patiently waiting right now. I believe it's the number 4 truck of Crystal King and also Daniel Solo to take the grid. And once we have all 19 of these trucks, Barney will say, get those revs up, and we'll be doing this awesome land rush start. You see them lined up 10 wide, 2 rows.
You wanted the best. You got them 10 abreast. There is no shortage of side-by-side action going into Potawatomi turn, as again, we await one more driver before we are ready to go green. All these drivers on the line now. Trucks ready. Trucks getting ready. Engines are revving. This is our last opportunity in this week of Crandon Championship races, and we are green as we hit down at a Potawatomi turn. The great start for Nicholas Dashley, but I believe that's Cody Vanderveer trying to make something happen in the 4th position, but they're all going to start winding together. We already have carnage.
Yeah, and Crystal King is in the wall. The rest of them are starting. Look at this, 5 wide going into turn number 2. There's got to be chaos. I see the 15 truck is barely going to keep it inside the berm. 3 wide headed down into the gravel pit. This is going to be busy.
Stead Miller is flipped on his lead in the exit of Potawatomi corner. We had body parts all over the place. Get a coroner out for Potawatomi turn number 1 as we get to see who survived the melee, as we haven't even hit the start finish yet.
It's Dashley up front, and then I believe it's Dane Culver there in that white and black truck. And now we've got 2 trucks turned around a Calamity corner into the inside. The number 2 of Sean Winkler was involved.
He was so competitive this afternoon. Unfortunately, he's going to have to make it happen in the features. Him as Brody Duscher towards the back of the field. 14th on back. All trucks with issues. And surprise, surprise, Evan McFarland, if he didn't have good luck or bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. He's already in the pit lane waiting for the next session, as we have only about 13 trucks who survived the first lap.
Single file into the Cowboy hairpin for the first time. 3rd, 4th, 5th, a little bit busier than those first 2 trucks that are trying to break away, but it all comes down to that storyline, Keenan. Nicholas Dashley versus Dane Culver at the front. They had a fireworks of the finish last time.
Keep an eye on the 7 and the 6 machine, as that is a storm waiting to be set off. That is a bottle of Coke and Mentos that has been shaken up and will explode, and Quentin Delomo seems to be always in the passenger seat for a lot of these battles. He's got the biggest bag of a bottle of pop or bucket of popcorn. He's always behind these, but let's see if he can make something happen. He's been patient all week. The time to be patient is over, and behind this whole field, this whole pack of trucks, Cody Winecki, welcome to the big show. He's capable of winning this race. Ignore that 19 on the side of his truck. He's still in this as Dane Culver and Nicholas Dashley are now bumper to bumper. Let's see what happens.
And I think what I'm noticing the most too is look at the track conditions. It is so green, it's new, it's not driven on, it's not broken in yet. So these trucks, they're going to be very, very slippery going around this track. Let's see if Dane makes a move into the hairpin. Dashley actually takes the middle of the racetrack. A nice defensive line doesn't allow Dane to really show the nose anywhere. They both get a good exit coming out of there, which is crucial because this is the highest top speed. And turn number 1 here, it is fast.
Dane was really good at picking his point yesterday. Yes, the last 2 or 3 laps were really aggressive, lots of dooring, but up until that point, Dane sitting behind, just scheming, trying to find a way around Dashley. This is the exact same positions that they were in for the feature Friday night. Welcome to Saturday night, and it's deja vu all over again, as this is, again, not the only battle on the racetrack, but you have to imagine that the sparks flew last night. Both of them have different opinions of what happened last night. This is not over between them, whether it happens right now in the sprint or in the next race in the feature, we'll have to find out.
And folks, I know that we're excited, but this is only the first race. We've got this sprint race, which is 6 laps long, and then we also still have that 10-lap feature race to go. So, yeah, maybe we're going to see a few different notes being taken. I wonder if these 2 drivers that we're watching right now are going to save it for the feature. If I know anything, though, it's going to happen here.
We have a big battle towards the back of the field, but again, there's been battles all over the field. We don't have enough eyes on this racetrack at Crandon to be able to show you all the action that's going on. Staying on with the battle for the lead, staying on with Dashley and Culver. Again, Culver made the move to the outside here at Ponte turn number 2. We haven't seen that all week. Ran the wall, gave Dashley nowhere to go, and carried the speed down in a gravel pit. Now that it looks like he's taking a quick look to the inside, I don't think he's trying to make moves, Joey. I think this is mind games. I think he's just trying to fill the mirror of Dashley and try to force him into a mistake. And I know what you're thinking. Well, he wouldn't make a mistake. He's a former pro. We saw him go wide a ton yesterday. So just trying to, in the words of one of the best race car drivers of all time, just trying to rattle his cage.
Yeah, sometimes that's what you got to do is put your truck right in the mirror. It's kind of like an anxiety that's coming over you. You got somebody, the boss, the teacher, looking over your shoulder. Are you doing every single apex perfectly? You hitting that brake marker perfectly? Because if you don't, somebody right over your shoulder is going to do that and take away that lead. But I think the biggest difference from what we saw this morning where Nicholas Dashley won the feature, he ran away. This is a totally different race that he's having to manage right now.
Going a little bit wide now is Culver. He might get the run out of the corner, but Dashley using that smooth exit. Went a little bit deeper, but still kept the wheels on that truck pointed straight forward and getting a great exit out of the Cowboy hairpin down into the Potawatomi Bend. Number 6 machine of Dane Culver still filling the mirror of the leader, Nicholas Dashley. Nicholas Dashley still trying to go back to back. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. To the inside is Dane Culver and Nicholas Dashley. Neither of these drivers wanted to give it up Friday night. There is still another race to go. We'll see if it already kicks off. Onto the berm is Dane Culver. He gets the slide job done on Dashley. Dashley gets the run in the exit as they go back single file for now.
That was a great over-under from our leader in that blue number 7 truck. You saw Dane Culver really just throw that slider into the gravel pit. I can also report Calamity Corner is full of calamity back there for about 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. But the race up front between these two, it's actually drawn in Quentin Del Olmo. He was the fastest truck on the racetrack that last time by.
We have a 4-way dance for 4th on back. Tom Grady, welcome to the show. That Countryman, somebody we were used to seeing, and Oliver Golding, somebody who made absolutely no friends this afternoon by getting a great start and then fighting everybody off tooth and nail to barely squeak his way out with the top 5 position. This time is on the opposite. He's the back truck looking in. He's going to have to make some overtakes rather than defend, and he's got 2 of the hungriest drivers in front of him in Thad and Tom.
Yeah, that white truck that's leading that second group with the green hood, that is Tom Grady. That countryman's the blue and black, and then you got Oliver Golding right there in that black and red truck. You see them all just trying to get the nose to the inside of each other, but it's tough going down into the gravel pit. You need the top speed, a few defensive lines right in the middle of the racetrack, and you see Tad just get a little bit of contact from Oliver right in the back bumper.
Dane Culver goes for the crossover. A bonjour, monsieur. Welcome to the battle, Quentin Delomo. This is now a three-way fight for the win of the sprint. This is not the final finishing order, but if you're all the way to the inside of the feature, you have a huge advantage. As Dane Culver has said, I have had enough. The gloves are off. This is the fight for the win now. As Quentin Delomo goes to the outside and tries to make it three wide. Doesn't quite make it stick, but the battle is well and truly heated up.
Watch for fireworks going into the cowboy hairpin. Quentin Delomo thinks twice, and now Dane Culver is going to try to door Dashley, but he doesn't get into him too much. It's actually going to be Culver with the best run out of the corner. He's the new leader with Quentin Delomo sliding into second.
Dane Culver now to the lead, but Quentin Delomo, to your point, Joey, one of the fastest trucks on the course. He's been racing all week. He knows these two have some bad blood. He picked his time, he waited, and now Dane Culver's the one who's going to have to keep the Frenchman behind him.
Tom Grady also had a monster lap, but going into the gravel pit, it is deciding between the front three. Culver, Arlito, Del Olmo there in second place. They all hit the apex. Nice, get the drive off of the cushion.
Last lap, one more corner to go. Dane Culver is to your lead. Does Quentin Delomo force the issue? He doesn't, but Nicholas Dashley does, and it's going to cost him. He gets caught on the wall. He's in the wall of Calamity Corner. Nicholas Dashley going for one more spot on the start, goes from third to sixth, drops down the order, but Dane Culver, with the recovery, takes the win in your sprint race with fireworks aplenty.
Look at Daniel Solo, as well as I believe as Cody Wieniecki back here, Shane Paul. They were all arguing over what was 12th and 13th to come across the line to complete today's sprint race. Well, I thought there was going to be fireworks between those two, and hey, there was maybe a little bit of a fireworks show.
And pretty similar to last night, Joey, it didn't start until it all kicked off. Dane decided to throw the first punch, and then it was on from there, and he wins the sprint race. And we're Quentin Delomo, the Frenchman, going to be taking P2. That countryman getting a podium and taking third place. Oliver Golding's going to be hanging out in fourth, and Cody Vanderveer, Mr. Consistent, with a top five finish. Nicholas Dashley, through the fault of his own, got a little aggressive and dropped down to sixth. He's not out of it, but he's made it a little bit harder on himself as Tom Grady, Matthew Linda, Timothy Messimer, and William Findling, all part of that hard battle for the last spots of the top 10.
Across the page here in 11th is Brody Dusher, then Daniel Solo finishing in 12th, Shane Paul in 13th, James Burke 14th, Sean Winkler 15th, Cody Wieniecki in 16th, Crystal King in 17th, Evan McFarland 18th, and Stead Miller had some problems back there. So hopefully we're going to get all of the 19 trucks going to be crossing the finish line here in the 10-lap feature as we take a look at exactly the highlights that we just saw.
Man, we were not spoiled for choice there on highlights as big, one of probably the biggest wreck we've seen all year. As if you're watching this and thinking this is a lot of fun, you can go to iRacing.com right now, 40% off new memberships, and join the war that is short course racing.
If you've never been short course racing on iRacing, I highly urge you to do it. I understand most people, you like your road racing, you like your oval racing, but if you've never gotten behind the wheel of a 900 horsepower pro truck, I highly urge you to do it because you will have a smile on your face at the end.
I think Crystal King said it best last night on her X or Twitter account. When I posted the last lap of the race, she retweeted it with, "Are you not entertained?" And this is just the sprint race. Again, really aggressive move there towards the end. Quentin Delomo, I don't think, has finished any higher than third. Now he's in an opportunity to make something happen as we see some of the drivers that are racing with us. Sean Winkler there. You want to buy a house in the Seattle area? Hit up my boy from the Racecraft driver, Sean Winkler. Again, Dane Culver. We have Nicholas Dashley as well, Cody Vanderveer, and William Redding as well, ready to hopefully make it into that interview box here towards the end of the night.
Well, since we just watched the 6-lap feature here, Keenan, I'm really curious how this, 6-lap sprint. I'm really curious how the 10-lap feature is going to go because we had a few of those big names fall out. We've been talking about Crystal King all week. She's been dominating so many of these qualifying races. This morning had terrible luck. In this sprint session, had terrible luck. I wonder if she can turn it around here in the future.
Crystal King needs to channel the most angry that she's ever been. Not necessarily to be angry, but that's how she's being raced. This race matters more than it has all week. Anytime anyone's ever thought of being nice, it's off. The only real adversity she got was getting knocked out by Joel Blewett for the lead. She's going to have to start throwing some elbows around and standing her ground to be able to complete these starts and race for those higher positions, if not a win.
Absolutely. She's got to get herself towards the front of this dirt racing. And speaking of dirt racing, if you don't like dirt road, you can go dirt oval racing with the World of Outlaws game available on those consoles. You can go pre-order the World of Outlaws Dirt Racing 24 today. Keenan, I know you were having a blast playing that stuff earlier.
Another thing I was having a lot of fun playing this week, Joey, was Exocross, but World of Outlaws Dirt Racing, as you said, coming out September 17th. You can pre-order it right now, worldofoutlaws.game.com. If you pre-order early, you can get the Gold Edition, get 2 exclusive liveries for Donnie Schatz and Brandon Shepard. But again, if you want something to sink your teeth into right now, Exocross is available right now on any platform where good video games are sold. Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, and even run on Linux. Probably one of the most exciting and dynamic off-road racing games to come out in years. So go check out Exocross right now and get stuck into it and have a barrel of fun.
I think it's so neat that iRacing has their hands in the console stuff, and we've got our results / starting grid for the feature race. Dane Culver on pole, Quentin Delomo second, Thad Countryman in third, Oliver Golding in fourth, Cody Vanderveer fifth, Nicholas Dashley, Tom Grady, Matthew Linda, Timothy Messemer, and William Findling all make out that front first row.
You got Brody Duscher, Daniel Solo from Sweden. He's up late as well. Shane Paul, James Burke, Sean Winkler, who got knocked back. He's starting at 15th. Cody Winecki, Crystal King, Evan McFarland, Stead Miller are all drivers that suffered from that early race calamity. They're going to have to hope for some more and sneak their way through some spots. They're still on the second row, as again, you want the best. Speaking of World of Outlaws, you want the best. We've got them 10 abreast as all trucks are on the line, and we are green for our final race here at the Crandon Championship feature race, and a really good jump on the outside, and I believe that is Tom Grady. Tom Grady going to try to go to the point as we all funnel in behind him at Potawatomi Bend, and it looks like for now everybody stays on the track, but that's one truck to the left, makes it in. I don't believe it. We are clean going down to the gravel pit.
We might be clean, but we're 6 wide through Ponce turn 2, a little bit further back, still 4 wide back here. You're going to have to find a spot on the racetrack going into the gravel pit. It is madness. You could call it calamity.
We've got 2 jump starts, at the 13 of Daniel Solo and the 5 of Tom Grady. Now, what do? Do they move and get out of the way, or try and cause as much chaos as they can so they don't lose as many spots? We'll have to find out. As, man, if you want chaos, look towards the middle of the field. You want to talk about a blender, we got a whole margarita brewing back here.
Nicholas Dashley is buried in the back of the pack. You see that blue and black number 7. He's 2/3 of the way back towards the rear of the field. There's no way he's going to repeat up here.
You never know. We've seen crazier things happen before in short course racing. I think if you're anywhere near the top 10, they're still so packed in together, and you have those 2 drivers with black flags towards the front. Everybody piles into Cowboy Corner. This saloon is filled with cowboys. Nobody's giving an inch. We've got 10 laps. It's like the whites out already.
I said we were 6 wide into Ponce turn 2. I'm pretty sure we were 6 wide into the Cowboy hairpin, 3 wide into turn number 1 here to complete lap number 1. So I think that these drivers have ramped up the intensity. They know the championship is up for grabs, and they are driving like it.
That's Tom Grady pulling into the pit lane to serve his penalty. He's a non-factor. Tom Grady, unfortunately, will be out of it. And that means Dane Culver, currently uncontested for the lead. The only one to contest him now is Thad Countryman. And if we could get sorted back here, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. That is the 8 of Cody Vandermeer. He's been so consistent. I was about to say he was right in the top 5. He gets punted wide. He's going to have to try and recover now. But luckily for him, the fighting has not stopped. He's almost didn't even lose time from that, Joey.
That was the black and red 16 of Brody Duscher going into Calamity Corner and just bowled a couple trucks out of the way. You see the front fender hanging off of the truck now, but it moved him up into 4th place with Oliver Golding now making a move down into the hairpin. He's going to slide right in front. That's a textbook slide job.
Really clean move from Oliver Golding. Like we said a little bit earlier in the show, he was not really didn't mind not making friends in that first race, got a good start, and just tried to hold everybody off. Now he's in that position he seems to be so comfortable in holding trucks off. He's got Cody Vanderveer now to his inside. He actually sent Brody Duscher wide just a little bit. Cody says, I'll take that, and back up into the top 5 for the Motorcycle Raider.
I love what we're seeing. When we covered earlier today's race, I mentioned that all of these races have been so different from the sprint into the feature. This one couldn't be even more so. Dane Culver up front, Dashley all the way buried back there in 16th. We've got a whole different group of drivers up front.
A new set of challenges for Dane Culver. Thad Countryman is closing in and closing in fast, almost 2/10 a lap quicker as the battle continues here towards the rear, the farther back, I don't want to say the rear of the field, farther back in the field. Cody Vanderveer going to try to get to Oliver Golding, and he is not afraid to use the bumper. Cody Vanderveer is a driver that isn't aggressive until he needs to be, and then that's no problem for me, he says. So he's going to have to get to the back of Oliver Golding and make something happen. Just throw a blanket over that top 3. The battle for this second Super Session win is not over, as there comes Thad Countryman. Truck number 1 on paper should be the highest skilled driver here. Obviously that's not how it always works, but Dane Culver is going to have his work cut out for him if that could get to his back bumper.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. I know we've been talking about Dane Culver and how fast he's been, but do not count out that Countryman. He has the highest I rating in the entire field that has showed up to this Super Session. Nearly 9,000 I rating in the dirt road.
He's been putting the work in. I remember racing with him about a year ago, Joey, and he was only around the 3,000 or 4,000 range. He has put the visor down.
Oh.
Dane Culver hits the inside wall. That's all the invitation that Countryman needs. He tries to sneak his nose up inside. Dane says no thank you. He puts him into the wall, and here comes Quentin DeLomo back into the mix.
And that name that you just mentioned, I think is kind of the dark horse, because he was sitting there in 3rd place in our sprint race that we just watched, was able to sneak up into 2nd, but he was also the fastest truck at the end of those 6 laps. I just wonder if he gets in the rhythm and gets faster and faster, and if so, Countryman and Culver, they got to take notice.
Put some respect on the Frenchman's name. Not only has he been improving in the trucks, he's been an institution in the rally car, and he is no stranger to the surface of dirt when it comes to speed. Trying to make a move to the outside of Potawatomi Bend is Quentin DeLomo, but that Countryman's going to get a good run out of the corner, but he's going to go tight now into Ponce, reading him like a book. Quentin DeLomo going wide now, trying to get a run going, but look who slowed down just a little bit there. Dane Culver, and is now back in the mix. This has not stopped being a 3-way fight for the lead.
Yeah, I'm trying to really analyze the driving that we're seeing out of the top 3, and I think the 2nd and 3rd might not quite have the pace, but it's actually been mistakes out of our leader that's kept 2nd and 3rd right there in touch within contact range. So I actually think if you're Dane Culver, the slower you drive, the faster you're going to go, because the less mistakes you're going to make.
We've got battles all over the racetrack. Obviously, it's not what she was looking for, but a top 10 in the top split in the Super Session for Crystal King would be the cherry on the sundae to her week. She's got William Findling and Evan McFarland standing in her way to try and make that happen, and there is a huge choo-choo train of trucks up in front of them as well. Matthew Linda, Sean Winkler, Timothy Metzemer, and James Burke, all nose to tail, as Sean Winkler said, I've had enough of being pushed around. Tries to make a move on the dirt oval racer, Timothy Metzemer. Doesn't quite get it done. A little bit of contact there, but he's going to have a good run coming out of the corner, Joey.
And you also saw Crystal King on that bottom screen slide up into 12th as that number 2 truck rides the cushion around turn number 1. And our lead is actually closed up a little bit. That Countryman has got a run down to the inside, heading it out into the gravel pit. Dane Culver once again just really throws a slider in to defend the inside of the racetrack, but that leaves him vulnerable on the exit.
He's going to try and make something happen again. We're about halfway through the race. If you're going to start getting aggressive, now is the time to make some enemies. Thad Countryman giving the bump to Danny Culver says, I'm here, buddy. If you want to win this race, you're going to have to beat me to do it. Thad Countryman has been an institution all week, been somebody who's been up solidly in the top 5, has not won a race yet this week. Could he win the big one? He still has to get around Dane Culver and fend off Quentin DeLomo.
You know, I don't want to discredit Golding, Vanderveer, and Duscher that are sitting there in 4th, 5th, and 6th, but they do look just about a 10th, maybe 2/10 of a lap just off pace compared to these front 3. So these front 3 starting to stretch it out almost 2 seconds now over 4th. And in my opinion, that's perfect if you're one of these front 3 drivers. I would want to run away as far as I can so I can settle it out just between us.
Absolutely, and if they start to get physical in the front, don't mind that gap. They'll catch up in no time at all. We've seen it time and time again this week where a 1-truck fight turns into a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-truck fight. That's how Crystal King got her win last night. She was P nowhere. Heck, she was almost spun out coming out of gravel pit, ended up taking the win as Thad Countryman once again just filling the rear view mirrors of Dane Culver. Hasn't quite thrown the door yet, but it seems like he wants to take a look at gravel pit. Dane's going to kind of go defensive, go early, use all that four-wheel drive front grip, keep that car towards, or that truck rather, towards the inside here at Crandon International Raceway and get it done as we are lap 7 of 10. Thad Countryman is running out of time if he wants to get something done on Dane Culver.
I'm going to be a little bit of a Miss Cleo over here and try to predict just a touch. I think I really like the way Thad Countryman is kind of driving and approaching the 2nd place right now. You notice he's being aggressive, but he's not pushing the issue. I wonder if he's just being patient, waiting for that last lap, because as long as you hang out in 2nd, literally at the bumper, all you need is 1 corner.
And you have to imagine Thad was one of the drivers who saw last night's finish, saw how Dane is willing to get aggressive and willing to start throwing fenders to not only defend his position, but overtake it again. If you want to get in on the action, iRacing.com right now. If you're not currently a member, 40% off subscriptions. If you currently are a member, the Pro 4 truck and Crandon are some of the most fun you can have on the service. Head down to iRacing.com today, become a subscriber, and join in on this next season. Heck, join in on the Pro 4 fixed race that I'm sure is going to happen right after this.
I am loving what I'm seeing out of this blue and black #1 truck. He's literally like a blue angel flying in formation behind our leader of Dane Culver. He's taken all the notes. He knows exactly where his racing line is going to be. However, he slips up just a little bit there in the S section. He needs to stay right tucked up underneath that fiberglass that's flailing off the back end of the truck. That's where the opportunity is going to be, because if you're 1, 2 trucks back like you're right now, that's too far of a send. That's when the emotions come out.
Yeah, and again, we're running out of time here at lap 8 of 10, about 3 laps to go. Quentin DeLomo is going to go really deep. He's going to lose some time on those top 2. You see Dane Culver going a bit wider in Cowboy Corner. He's carrying a bit more speed in, using the bank of the corner and trying to get the exit as Cody Vanderveer has now closed the gap to Oliver Golding. Joey, I think the idea of let's get single file and see if we can catch these guys was a good idea with 5 to go. Now that we're on lap 8, it's time to get the gloves off, and it's time to have this Donnybrook.
Absolutely. Cody's got his eyes set on 4th place right now, and he says, you know what, anything more than that, fantastic. So this is headed down into the gravel pit. Look at the commitment, the yaw angle. You got to turn the truck, but it's all about the exit. Limit the wheel spin, get the launch out. You saw the number 14 truck really carry the momentum up along the high side, but into Calamity Corner right here, it's all about the
We have a pass for the lead. Sorry to cut you off, Joey. Thad Countryman made the move in Calamity Corner. Thad Countryman to the lead. Dane Culver back down to 2nd. A textbook move from Thad Countryman as Dane Culver's not having it. He puts the door to Thad Countryman. He's trying to make something happen, and welcome back, Quentin DeLomo. We are going to be treated to another classic Crandon finish coming down in the Cowboy Corner.
And now Dane Culver's made contact twice down the straightaway. Look at DeLomo. He's going to slide both of them up to the front. They split him. It's going to be Thad Countryman with the exit, and he's running away from them all.
I thought Quentin was going to get that pass done, didn't quite shut the door to the top line. But Thad Countryman, download complete. Let's see if he can pull away from Dane Culver. Again, this is a driver who does not want to lose this race. We saw last night in a qualifier, he was ready to throw the kitchen sink in anybody he needed to get that win. But Thad Countryman, a driver who's been part of the conversation all week, has not quite got it done. As Dane Culver to the inside, he throws the door to Thad Countryman. Thad Countryman tries to hang tough, but now coming into the last lap, Barney has the white flag in the air. Dane, you're going to have to deal with the mess that you just started.
Yeah, and there's contact to the right rear. That allows Countryman to the inside, driver's right, but Culver once again has the racing line. That was the first time I've really seen Countryman put the fender to move Culver up out of the way, and here we go. Watch Del Olmo right here with an over-under.
He tries to go for the move. They're still side by side. That Countryman's going to get a good run out of the corner. Dane Culver actually tried to push him wide, and I'm sure Thad Countryman didn't take too kindly to that. Keep an eye on that number one machine. They might be single file for now, but they're not done. As Dane Culver goes wide, he's going to open the door for Thad Countryman. If Thad Countryman can hold the line here on the outside of Potawatomi, Joey, this is not over. He's just hanging tough. There's no lift left in these drivers with 1 lap to go.
Count on it, there will be fireworks at the end of this thing. We've seen the leader get his elbows out in those previous sessions. Countryman's going to slide to the inside. He's going to get the drive off the corner. Is it going to be the top speed or the shortest distance headed to the gravel pit?
2 corners left to go in the Crandon Championship. 7 races, 7 qualifiers, all come down to this. That Countryman going to make the move. Quentin Delomo going to the inside. We have Quentin Delomo to the lead. They're 3 wide almost as Quentin Delomo's to the lead, but Thad Countryman has the preferred line. He's going to send it into the corner. Dane goes for a super late cut. Dane Culver's going to try to get it done. 3 wide across the line, and Dane Culver goes from 3rd to 1st in the last quarter and gets the win for the Crandon Championship in an absolute classic.
The rest of the field is going to stream across start finish. Get that checkered flag from Barney. And Keenan, I gotta say, I was expecting more contact in Calamity Corner. I actually thought that Dane Culver played that very smartly. It was almost like he had seen that yesterday. Did the exact same move, but he was in a different truck.
Yeah, different trucks, different drivers. I really thought Quentin had pulled that off. Unfortunately for him, he was Dane Culver had played it perfect. Again, he's watched all the races this week. He went super wide, knew those 2 were going to start banging doors, snuck towards the inside, and Dane Culver with the win. And almost poetically, we had Dashley win in the morning, and Dane Culver wins in the evening with Thad Countryman with the race of the week for him. He's got to keep his head held high because he really proved he belongs to the front of the field.
And we had Quentin Del Olmo finishing there in the 3rd place. Oliver Golding had another nice run to finish in 4th. Brody Gusher in 5th place. Cody Vanderveer 6th. James Burke 7th. Crystal King finishing 8th. And, you know, to talk about that number 4 truck, talk about a huge comeback. She was buried back there 16th, 17th, and so good drive to put the visor down and get back inside the top 10. William Findling in 9th, and the same thing with Nicholas Dashley there in 10th.
Yeah, again, super solid finish for them. Cody Winecki just made it through on the skin of his teeth. Unfortunate not the finish he was looking for. Daniel Solo, great recovery from that earlier issue, being able to make it up into the top 12. Tom Grady there as well, Sean Winkler, Timothy Messimer, and then Mr. Bad Luck himself, Evan McFarland 16th, Stead Miller 17th, Matthew Linda unfortunately back there as well as Shane Paul rounds out your finishers.
Well, Keenan, holy smokes. We just saw 2 super sessions from this morning and now this afternoon, and it's some of the best off-road Pro 4 trucks that I have ever seen on Crandon. We got tons of action.
Yeah, of course we do, Joey. We're trying to see if we can get a word for Dane Culver for our race winner, but he's learned from the whole week. We saw it, that last corner went super wide, saw the door banging. He saw what Crystal King did last night, and instead of being a victim of it, he was the one who capitalized on it.
He capitalized, but I do want to say that I think that Countryman was probably in the best position, right? Quentin Del Olmo was technically ahead going into Calamity Corner, but it was Thad that kind of drove him out into the dirty stuff, and he actually pushed it maybe just a little bit too far because he actually got out into the dirty stuff as well. That's what allowed Dane Culver to just slide right down onto the inside like that move that we saw Crystal King make yesterday, except Dane Culver finished P1 today.
This has to be the best week of short course race finishes that I think I've ever seen as we take another look at this last few corners. Joey, again, we saw it brewing. Thad bided his time, waited until the last couple of laps, and then started throwing shoulders.
So this is the entire last lap. Remember, that is in that blue and black truck, and he actually gets ahead of Dane Culver through this little S section, but then the elbows started to come out a little bit more. I really thought that Quentin Delomo had a great over-under opportunity going into this hairpin, but Thad just did a tremendous job putting the power down. Once again, Dane Culver just a little bit tiny of a slip up wide there in the hairpin, and that kind of starts to unravel the thread for everybody else.
Yeah, again, we started in Cowboy. Almost to your point, we thought it was going to be much more aggressive, but I think Thad saw it kind of happen. Didn't want to start something he couldn't finish. Said, you know what, I'll wait towards the end here, and I'll be able to make a push towards the end. And then Quentin Delomo, somebody who's been licking his chops and watching these battles happen, and goes, you know what? I saw what Crystal did yesterday. Have at her, boys. I'll have myself a little drink, a nice cup of water, and watch this happen. Again, Thad with the big slider. Quentin tries to go to the inside, but he has no momentum on the exit of the corner. Dane tries to go 3 wide and goes, that's not going to work. I'll go to the outside and hope something happens. And sure enough, Thad's got to try something. He throws defender to Quentin. Dane's like, you know what? I'm not lifting. And 3 wide across the line.
I do have to give a little bit of credit there to Dane Culver, because he had the opportunity to go 3 wide over that jump, and he thought better of it. He realized it was just going to end in a mess for all 3 of those drivers, so he was patient about a couple 100 yards before Calamity Corner, and it paid off for him.
Yep, and I'm pleased to say that's kind of why I was... Dane's like, where do I go for an interview? So we're going to be able to talk to Dane. I don't know if he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to get it, but I'm really excited to be able, especially with everything he's been involved in this week. I was hoping earlier in the week, Wednesday, I'm like, I don't know how this week's going to go. Last year was fun, but Thursday onward, every evening split that we've seen has just had some of the closest, most exciting finishes. I almost was standing up as all 3 of them were coming towards the line.
Well, I mean, just not only that, but we've had extremely close finishes, and some of them have been some definite fireworks out there. So it was all lining up for the championship, the final lap.
And before we get to our winner, we're going to get to one of our podium finishers, somebody who I'm sure was having a good time through the race, but is ready to go to bed. Quentin Delomo here in 3rd place. Quentin, it's been a heck of a week for you. A bit of a bad start to the week, and then a really, really exciting finish. Can you talk us through that last lap?
Hi guys. Yeah, kinda happy about this race. I was just waiting, and I saw the 2 guys in front of me fighting hard each lap. So I knew that it was coming something interesting for me. So I was just waiting. But I think I wait too much, and I should have hit a little more. But anyway, it was a clean race for me, and that's all I want. P3 it's a good result, and it was really close to the win. Happy to be in the pace after 1 year without racing, and it's 4 a.m. for me in French, so happy to make a podium, and I need to sleep.
Yeah, no kidding. I know you have a bit more of a rally car background, so obviously you've done some years in the Pro Series as well for the truck. So what's the transition been like for you? So obviously still 4-wheel drive, but a ton of more weight and a ton of a different style of racing.
It was horrible, because in 1 year they changed some little things on the Pro truck, and I was doing a lot of rallies, so it was quite different. I was using a setup from 2022, so quite old, but seems still good, and I just need to make some setup on the driver. But I had a few catastrophic races, but now it's better, so that's great.
So coming off this podium, Quentin, again, it's super big, a huge improvement for you in these trucks. You've had speed all week. What changed from earlier on in the week towards you were way more consistent towards the end of the week? What was your process like throughout this 7 qualifiers and 2 super sessions that you've done?
I changed nothing on the track. I just work hard on myself, and I knew that I have the pace. Crandon was always a good track for me, but I just need to find back this pace. So yeah, the first race was quite bad, but now after I know that I had the pace, it just like I think I'm not using the contact like I should have to compare to the others. So sometimes I'm waiting too much, but yeah, no, that's great. I'm happy with the result.
Well, we won't keep you any longer. Félicitations, mon ami, and I hope you get some good rest.
Nice one, nice one. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the event. That was great.
And we have caught up with our winner. He's been in a bunch of fights this week, but is finally able to step on the top of the podium. Dane, it took a long time to get there, but in the 11th hour, you are a Crandon Championship champion.
Yeah, it feels really good to be here. Put a lot of time and effort into this sim racing stuff, and yeah, I had a lot of people helping me behind the scenes, and it was overall, just a great week. I had a lot of fun here.
As somebody who's raced throughout the week, what was the process like starting on either Tuesday or Wednesday and making it all the way throughout the week and being able to compete here in the Super Session tonight?
So the first day I actually thought it was Wednesday, but it was on Tuesday for the American time, so I kind of messed that up. So I had to only run, I think, 3 races. This was the 4th one. And lucky enough, I ended up winning one of the first qualifiers. So put us in pretty good points position, and I just tried to be really consistent. Ended up getting last in one of them. My car broke, and came back and ended up getting a top 5, I think, or another top 3. But yeah, it was overall, it was a super fun week. I enjoyed it. The X contacts the X's are a little wonky, but it's pretty fun.
And, of course, that exciting finish last night, almost 4 wide over the line. I have to imagine that you learned from that last night and moved it and put it towards your last lap, 3rd to 1st move in Calamity Corner going in to take the win.
Oh, yeah, and, yesterday was rough. I don't even know what was going on. I was just getting driven through, but it's whatever. I'm really good friends with, the top 3 there, so we were just kind of trying to keep a pace and run away with everybody. We had a plan before the race even started, and we were going to try and run away before we started battling those last few laps, and it was great. I made some rough contact with that on one of the corners. I ended up pushing really bad, and I didn't mean to do that, so I apologize for that, Thad. But, yeah, I just crossed my fingers, hoping that was going to push Quentin wide on the last corner. He was 100% faster than me, I'll give him that, and I ended up being able to find an opening, and I just slipped through and ended up getting the win.
Well, my friend, it's awesome to see you here. I know you've helped me out as well with some of my driving, so it's cool to see you be able to get to the top step of the podium. Congratulations and enjoy it. You are a champion here at Crandon.
Yep, thank you.
And Joey, we've talked to 3rd, we've talked to 1st. We have the missing link here as Thad Countryman joins us in the booth.
Yeah, Thad, congratulations on the 2nd place finish here at Crandon.
Yeah, that was pretty insane.
I got to give you credit from watching all of these qualifying sessions, the super sessions. I got to say, you are an incredibly clean dirt road racer. Your iRating definitely represents it. How did you feel that everybody else was racing you this week?
It was definitely a step up from what I'm used to. I haven't done much of this super competitive stuff except from nationals just this year, my first time, and I'm just trying to get used to all the hard racing, and this was a decent race. Thought I had it in the bags, but Dane had something for me, so.
Well, if you're just kind of getting used to it, I find that a little hard to believe with nearly 9,000 dirt road iRating. You're very impressive when it comes to the statistics. I got to ask you, what did you learn during the Crandon Championships this week that you can apply for next time?
Just setup-wise, I'd like to work on learning what makes the truck, what affects the truck differently. I'm part of a good team, Team Gold. Tyler Shattuck was spotting for me, helped me out with the setup. They helped me learn all this stuff. I was on here for about 11 months and just got with the right people right away, and they taught me how to do this stuff. And
well, keep up what you're doing. It's extremely impressive, your performance on the racetrack. I just got to say thank you for coming out and racing this Crandon Championship, and congrats on that 2nd place.
Thank you.
Well, Keenan, that was Dad Countryman driving that #1 car.
Yeah, and again, he talked about it himself. Somebody I've run into a lot in the iRacing short course leagues, again, who is just starting up again really soon. Excited to be able to race again with him. But somebody who has progressed so far, and it's been crazy to see him go from somebody new to the service to almost some of the most iRacing in this side of the service. As we are not done with some of the most competitive racing here in sim racing with eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. It's back, and we still need to fill out our final 4 for our playoffs here, and we're going to go to the Lone Star State and Texas Motor Speedway.
Last week was Michigan, and we had Briar LaPrade as the winner, and he's not even a playoff driver, so that really mixes everything up. Like you said, going into Texas this Tuesday, August 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to see who is going to continue to advance.
Again, like you said, Briar LaPrade with a very emotional and popular win amongst the drivers and the fans, but that means 2 drivers can get in on wins, 2 drivers get in on points. There is still so much left to play for, and we hope to catch you August 27th in the evening for all the action and countdown to green. As you saw, of course, Camille this week as well. She'll be on that show. But ladies and gentlemen, what a treat it has been to broadcast all of this dirt road, all of this short course action here on iRacing this week. And on behalf of the entire iRacing broadcast team, Joey Atterbury, and everybody who's had a hand in this behind the scenes, whether you've been racing, driving, and a part of the broadcast or part of the organization, it has been so wonderful to showcase some of the most fun racing that you can have on the iRacing service. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll catch you on the dirt.